Hi there, Evan here with Crypto and Markets for Friday, December 14th, 2018. Steve Suretsky broke the news on Twitter yesterday. The Bank of Canada has gone out and bought $250 million worth of mortgage bonds. Now, about 3 weeks ago, the Bank of Canada put out a statement in which they stated they were going to expand the assets they could go ahead and buy to government-backed mortgage bonds. And all this is a far cry from them 2 months ago trying to tell us this is the greatest economy of all time, all risks are transitory, we'll keep growing, etc. That was quick, wasn't it? And here's the worst part about the whole thing. We're doing all this when the yield curve is as flat as can be before an actual inversion. So they're doing this when the lenders are only making money off a risk premium itself. So in other words, they're not making any money. Let's go through this again. Bank of Canada cut rates in 2015, led to the blow-off top in credit. And then starting in about mid to late 2016, short-term rates started ramping as the Bank of Canada was taking off their emergency rates or whatever they want to call it. They, of course, had to overcompensate for what they did in 2015. Which then leads us to where we are now. And of course, lenders borrow short-term, lend long-term, and that yield curve there is effectively their margin. So, they've risen up short-term rates. They haven't cut yet. The long end hasn't got up as fast. They're almost the same right now. And they're already buying mortgage bonds to bail out the lenders, and also to keep the long end down. Now, what's the end game here? Now, here's how I see it. The Bank of Canada just blinked. They basically now told us that everyone who follows my channel and others as well have been right. The housing bubble is blowing up. The economy is slowing. Wage growth in paychecks is slowing as well. We've seen that really since the middle of the year. Retail sales are starting to slow down too, from the wealth effect of home prices having come down in major markets already. So that's slowing retail sales. Told you that was going to happen a year ago. Boy, you've turned out to be very right. But they flinched. They told us things are way worse than what they said they were. Which, again, we already knew. It's funny to bring all this up. If you go to my Twitter page right now, my pinned tweet goes back, I think, around 2 weeks ago, in which I said the Bank of Canada is done hiking rates. Their next move is going to be a cut. By already coming into the market and buying up all this bad debt, which is what it is, let's just call it what it is, the only way to make this work is to cut rates. So here's what I think is going to happen. 2s, 10s right now is very flat. That's going to invert, as I mentioned in previous videos, be the leading indicator for recession. And the Bank of Canada, when it's seen they're going to start cutting rates, the short end is going to drop. But what is that? That's the bear steepener. Basically what happens is, the yield curve inverts, right? Where the 2 year is more than the 10 year. Which leads recession typically by about a year. But then when it's seen that the central bank is going to come in and start cutting rates, the long end here stays about the same, and short-term rates start going down. And that always happens when? Very close to recession. So by doing all this and blinking, as I mentioned on Twitter yesterday, they've gone into a crowded theater, yelled, "Fire!" Everyone runs out. Everyone knows now things are bad, and that their lives are about to change, etc. They're obviously going to change their habits now. We're going to go into recession. The Bank of Canada's going to ultimately cut rates, do their thing. And then probably start a bigger bailout around 2020. And everyone keeps thinking, oh, this buying on the mortgage bonds is going to save us. I'll tell you right now, it's not. On a debt-to-GDP basis, we're way worse than what the U.S. was in 2008. It wasn't until the third round of QE when things started at the bottom. Okay? So as far as when housing prices are going to bottom, I'd say we're at least 4 years away. Just letting you know that. Because the vast majority of the public, think about it. Even now, a vast majority of the public still doesn't know it's coming. Even after yesterday's purchase, a lot of them still aren't going to know it's coming. But we're starting to wake up now. Whether it's us really following the trends, whether it's out of necessity, and unfortunately, I don't want to be the instigator of this, obviously. But people have been put into foreclosure. There are powers of sales already happening in Toronto. As I told you about 6 months ago, they were starting to accelerate. Not everyone's telling me they're seeing them in their own neighborhoods now, etc. So they are accelerating. In fact, here, if the Canadian consumer was in such good shape, then why are total bankruptcies now up 9% year over year? So they've been bottoming out for 2 years, now they're starting to have their spike up. If the economy was still healthy, why is that happening? So look, to put it in layman's terms, the Bank of Canada screamed fire in a crowded theater by buying the mortgage bonds. They blinked. They admitted it. The housing bubble is blowing up. The economy is slowing. And now that recession looks to be here very soon. That's all I gotta say. Follow me on Twitter. Smash the like button. Subscribe. Y'all have a good day.